everybody, good afternoon. Obviously, as the girl said, my name is Emilia de Matteo, and today my talk is kind of just going to be a conversation about how we can start to create a more environmentally friendly fashion world. So, transforming the world to a greener one through clothes. So I'd like to start with just kind of thinking about, we all wear clothes, right? Some of us are a bit more obsessed than others, myself included, but essentially they're a necessity, correct? And we use clothes as a form of expression, a way of showing our identity, or even sometimes political views. So outfits have a much more significant meaning in today's day and age than just keeping us warm or covered. But I'd like to say that, or kind of start the conversation on the fact that the world as a collective has reached a point where the production and consumption of clothes and fashion has become extreme and unnecessary. And I don't think that many people realise the impact the fashion industry has on the environment. And I don't think it's a widely spoken enough about topic, or it's kind of like taboo or really unknown. So I just want to talk about it a bit and let you guys who are listening understand kind of the impact that we actually have through our shopping habits. And obviously this is a massive part of our lives, no matter if you're rich or poor, or if you don't even care about shopping, because obviously it's something that we all have to wear every single day, regardless of what you like to do. So I'm just going to talk a bit about the current state of the fashion and clothing industry, and then how we can each do our own little bit to reduce our impact as consumers. And I've coined the term almost like being a fashion vegetarian, because you're taking healthier options for the environment when you do these things. So to begin with, if we kind of understand the situation, where it's coming from, why the fashion world is becoming unhealthy for the environment, we kind of have to start with marketing tactics. So the reason why I thought this would be really interesting to understand is that when we see fashion adverts that kind of imply that things are buy one get one free or 50% off today, or you're constantly seeing these sales, it's kind of a trigger warning or a red flag towards the fact that why are they selling things so cheap, or why is there constantly a discount on? And I think a massive example of this was back in the last Black Friday sale week. Pretty Little Thing, which I'm not sure if everybody knows the brand, but is a women's fashion clothing brand, fast fashion specifically. They produce a lot of different clothes, no specific theme or trend, and it all tends to be quite poor quality. Regardless of that, though, in the Black Friday sale week, they basically were selling, there was a whole page of hundreds of items, I think up to thousands of items, where they were selling things up to 69p. And they are a company who are notoriously known for not actually disclosing the factories that they use or the industries that they use to manufacture their clothes, which I think is a massive red flag to the fact that they don't produce clothes that are friendly to the environment. They don't, their methods aren't friendly either, because they don't recycle their clothes that are returned, or reuse things that are refunded and sent back. And also the way they make things like are really cheap quality, so that they might break or as soon as you wear them. So don't succumb to easy tactics. Maybe take a step back and think, why are they selling things so cheap? I think as well, it's us customers, people in general, humans in general, who like to buy clothes, that contribute to this. And I think customers who buy an outfit and only wear it once, so there's no environmental understanding or care for where your clothes are coming from, where they're going to go once you stop wearing them. And it's very similar to the single-use plastic theory, where you buy one plastic cup, for example, and throw it away, and then never use it again. And again, I think the third one is kind of, in our society, there's this massive fashion of trends, and we're all at fault here, because I as much as the next person love to wear something that's trendy and in right now, because other people or influential people in my circle are wearing it. So we're all kind of brainwashed into thinking that we always need a different item or accessory in order to maintain trendy, where at the end of the day, does it really matter what you're wearing? Because lots of things can be trendy at all different times. For example, these days fashion from the 2000s are becoming trendy again, and I'm sure all our parents, or obviously I'm only 21, but there's people who will have thrown out clothes that they thought weren't trendy anymore 20 years ago. And I have 5 facts here that I thought were really interesting, and I think nobody actually realises the extent to the problem. But number 1, on average, worldwide, each clothing item ever bought is only worn 7 times. So if you think about all those people that have hundreds and hundreds of pieces of clothing in their wardrobe, they only wear them 7 times in their whole life. And then obviously, where does that go? What happened? Was there any point in making that piece of clothing? Number 2, fast fashion companies that aren't bothered to recycle things that are out of fashion or relist items that are returned, sent them all to be burned. So they literally don't ever get used again. There's not enough money to be made by relisting them, so they literally just burn them or send them to landfill. Number 3, the fashion industry produces 10% of all carbon emissions. So on average, people bought 60% more garments in 2014 than they did in 2000, which are crazy numbers. And I think it's a sign towards the fact that, we're buying clothes that are just unnecessary these days. So, I think we should kind of think about that number as well. Number 4, 85 of all textiles go in landfill every single year. So every single material ever made, 85% of those will go into landfill, which is the equivalent, and this is quite atrocious, 1 garbage truck full of clothes is burned or dumped in a landfill every second. So every second of every day, that many clothes get burned or just buried underground. So, think of all the material that could have still been worn or used, or is just sitting underground, taking thousands of years to recycle and decompose. So, and number 5, which is really interesting, and I don't think anybody really knows this, and obviously I've done my research and I kind of understand it more now, but unfortunately, even washing our clothes is resulting in harmful effects on the environment, and who would have thought? But washing our clothes releases 500,000 tons of microfibers into the ocean each year, the equivalent of 50 billion plastic bottles. So we thought our plastic consumption was bad. Our clothing is basically having the equivalent effect, even just washing it. So to kind of wrap up these facts I've given you, just preach all this information, I thought I'd give us some tips and tricks and things to look out for, brands to look for, or platforms that we can use to become more eco-friendly with our shopping habits. So here are a few little things. Yes, we may succumb to all those marketing tricks or of the buy one get one free, or something it's only 3p today and free shipping, it will arrive tomorrow. But we need to think about the future. So we need to buy smart, or try to at least. So purchase items you only actually need, or if it surpasses the need quality, and don't worry, I'm as much of a shopping addict as the next person, then kind of maybe research the item or the brand that you're buying from. Are you going to wear it once? Are you going to wear it for the first time, and is it going to rip? Is the quality going to be terrible? Or will you wear it plenty of times, and then even your sister or your best friend, or in 10 years time your children will wear it? So when shopping online, maybe check reviews. There is always that person that will give you an essay on the ins and outs of their purchase. Important people in society. They're very important people in society. This one is kind of niche. I'm not sure everybody might want to do this, but I think learning how to sew is a really, really good way to kind of implement this eco-friendly shopping habit, because how many times has your favourite jumper or t-shirt got a hole in it just, from a nag or walking into the door accidentally and catching it? And you end up grieving the poor thing because you're never going to wear it again. So a simple hour or two and a tiny little sewing kit, you learn how to sew, and bam, item is brand new again because you sewed up that hole. And lastly, I think upcycling, which is obviously to do with sewing. So, you could match 2 old t-shirts together because you've learned how to sew, and make something completely new and something that you like. And then completely finalise it, I thought I'd give a few suggestions of places where you can do some better shopping, or shopping that will have a better meaning and a better consequence and effect on the environment. So I personally have a Depop shop called GG Clothing, and we use the platform Depop, which is amazing, super easy to list your items. So it's very well known for listing old items in your wardrobe and giving them a second life, a second world. Easy to make money as well, which is a great upside, and make sure that your clothes don't go straight into the bin or landfill or never get used again. And I thought it was really interesting, actually, that charity shops also have Depop pages. So you can look up. I think 90% of English charities have Depop shops, which is amazing because obviously in lockdown we can't go into them these days. You know, you can do a bit of online shopping and still help charities. And there is Vestiaire for those of us that like bougier clothes in life or quite more luxury items. It's a marketplace where vintage items or secondhand that are only branded or luxury or have luxury prominence are listed. So it's a great place for people who love their high-end fashion items but still love the planet. And last but not least, I'm not much of a person who iconizes influencers in this day and age, such as like Kylie Jenner, but the brand Tala, which is a one-of-a-kind athleisure business founded by the iconic Grace Beverley. I'm not sure if anybody knows her, but I'll explain. She was formerly known as Grace Fit UK on Instagram, and her clothes are quite literally made up from second-hand clothes or clothes that were on their way to landfill, and she basically diverts them to her factories. They cut them up and they're remade into new clothing, and you should have a look if anybody's into kind of gymming or working out, because they're really nice clothes, especially for like lounging around in. And I think a cute little touch that she's put in is that even the labels can be planted. So when you buy a pair of leggings, for example, you take the label off, you can plant that and have a little plant in your room, which is, I think, such a cute idea and such a nice way to cut down on packaging. And I think ASOS Marketplace as well is a great way to kind of have a look at secondhand clothes that are basically brand new and amazing quality. And yeah, that's it basically, me today. I hope you learnt something new. Maybe you'll start thinking differently about the way you shop. And I don't want to preach to the choir or anything, but I thought it was quite interesting as nobody really talks about it, and a lot of people tend to kind of disclose old vintage items as like old and dusty, but at the end of the day I think they're beautiful nonetheless, and if you look after your things or buy second hand, you're being so much more eco-friendly and better for the environment.